what you're saying. Nani? Get out my business, okay?
Alright guys, hey, how you doing? My name is Heero. This is the Identity Booth. I want to talk real quick about why this bipartisan bullshit is getting us nowhere, and why Joe Manchin is literally he's the equivalent of stubbing your toe in the dark. Welcome back, Nafi. Thanks for joining us on the Identity Booth. Why don't we have everything we ever wanted? We have a Senate-controlled House. I mean, a Senate-controlled, democratically controlled Senate, House, and the presidency. There should be no reason why we shouldn't have any of our laws we want passed. Unfortunately for us, we're babbling and debating with people about mindless shit. We're not even having to fight Republicans about getting shit we want. We have to fight Democrats in the fact that Joe Manchin. And I want people to remember this for the rest of their days. When we talk about the Biden administration, it shouldn't be that the Biden administration didn't do enough. It should be that the Democratic Party wasn't unified enough, in the sense that we have sleeper agents in our party, right? Joe Manchin wants to have conversations. He wants to have conversations with a group of Republicans who couldn't sum up the courage to say, hey, maybe we should investigate some breakdowns in communication about January 6th. Hey, maybe we should hold somebody accountable for January 6th. Hey, maybe that president that sent people out there, and we have recordings now of him sending stuff to Alex Jones saying that he wants him to lead this charge. Maybe we should look into that. No. Okay. But if you want to talk with madmen, don't be surprised when people walk past you saying you're a madman. But Joe Manchin wants to have this debate. And this was an ample time. It was discussed. And let's just, we'll talk about the HR bill. But let's get a better idea of what's in the bill, right? Let's know what's in the bill. Let's talk about how this bill will benefit people. Uh-oh. All right, let's get to know what's in the bill. Because if the bill's bad, I get why people would fight it. But the bill would help you no matter who you are, Republican or Democrat. The bill is designed to help you, the people. So why is it being stared out? Let's find out.
And whether or not there will be 50 Democrats that actually vote yes for the legislation, even though it's not going to go anywhere. And this is an example of a bill that has sharp divisions between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats consider it one of their top priorities, and Republicans are dead set against it. Listen to how both Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell talked about the legislation this morning.
Later today, the entire country will see whether our Republican friends are willing to even debate this issue in broad daylight. They don't even want to debate it because they're afraid. They want to deny the right to vote, make it harder to vote for so many Americans, and then they don't want to talk about it. They want to sweep it under the rug and hope that Americans don't hear about it. But Americans will hear about it.
Later today, the Senate will vote on whether to advance Democrats' transparently partisan plan to tilt every election in America permanently in their favor. By
This
now,
racist
the
ass
rotten
turtle.
inner workings of this power grab have been thoroughly exposed to the light. The Senate is only an obstacle when the policy is flawed and the process is rotten. And that's exactly why this body exists.
Let's dig into what's at stake.
All right. And just so we're all clear, what is this rotten, partisan, degraded? It's not going to help anybody ever. Let's hear about what's in the bill.
House Democrats are rethinking the entire U.S. voting system. They're pushing massive legislation, 791 pages to be exact, full of major changes to our elections. NBCNews.com senior political reporter Jane Tim joins us now. Jane, a lot to unpack here.
I can tell Eric's mad
because
he's typing a lot.
So this bill is
And it's
very,
probably because I
very
brought
long.
up
There's
Trump.
a whole lot in
But
here. It
guess what?
touches
Trump is
just about
trash.
every part of how Americans vote, how states run elections. Some of the stuff that voters would see is that it makes it a lot easier to register to vote. There would be automatic voter registration. So if you had a driver's license, you'd already be on the rolls. It makes it easier to vote. If you go, it says states have to provide enough equipment that you would have less than 30-minute lines to vote. And as you can see in these pictures, some people wait a heck of a lot longer. It also would take down gerrymandering, specifically partisan gerrymandering, which is very legal in this country. And legislatures can draw districts that make it easier for the people drawing the maps to be elected again. So this would say you cannot do that. There's a whole lot of changes that would come out of this bill. And some states run elections like this already. There are states with short lines. There are states with automatic voter registration. But this says all the states have to have it. It essentially puts a federal floor into election administration and says you should be able to rely on, say, same-day voter registration, another proposal in there, wherever you live.
So, Jane, if we go down the road a little bit here, this bill eventually goes to the Senate. What are its chances there? How are Republicans expressing any of their concerns?
You know, Republicans are not a fan of this bill. This is obviously Democrats' sort of brainchild and their baby. Senator Mike Lee said recently that it was a bill written by the devil himself. Democrats would have to abolish the filibuster to get this through, or at least exempt voting bills from the filibuster to do anything with their slim majority. But it's becoming essentially an existential question for Democrats, because as Republicans pass legislation across the country that makes it harder to vote, Democrats are looking at, do we want to keep the filibuster, or do we want to run in districts that we may never win again?
And Jane, have voting rights advocates had much to say about this bill so far?
Voting rights advocates can't say enough nice things about this bill. When I talk to them, they say this is the next great civil rights bill. This would be transformative, particularly getting rid of gerrymandering, implementing things like, unilateral early voting across the country. They say would make it.
All right. And that's pretty much all you need to know, right? It's a good bill. There's no reason, and just to put more context on this is a bill that Republicans and Democrats voters are both in agreement with. You shouldn't have to wait in long lines. You should automatically be registered if you're part of the census. A ballot should be doing same day voter registration, and voting should be available. These are all things we are more than capable of doing. In fact, me and Eric have both said on this show that we should be able to do 10 times more than that, right? I should be able to vote online, I feel like, by now. I feel like I should be able to vote without leaving my goddamn house, register and all. Why are the Republicans against this? And I have to tell people, and I tell the people this all the time, Republicans don't have plans. They just don't want you to win, because as long as you look good or you look better than them, they're losing. They have no policies, they have no bills, they have nothing constructive to add to the collective growth of America. The Republican Party right now, as it stands today, they have nothing positive to contribute to the people. They haven't in the last 10 years probably. And the problem that we're running into is people are using fearmonger, because they're going to say stuff like, oh, this is a way for illegals to vote, but we know that our elections are some of the most secure, when we actually take, heed to threats and address them accordingly, unlike the previous administration. And we also know that the American people, when they vote their values, they lean left. And the Republican Party, instead of them to fight to get people to join them, they're just going to try and stop people from voting against them. And that is the tale of the tape. That's all you really have to know about Republican politics. If you don't like them, they're going to make it so that you don't vote. That's why I make it almost an immediate thing for me when I first get to a new state to get registered and get my license and everything transferred over so I can vote. Because I want to cause, and I love living in Republican states. I love causing trouble. And one of the best things I ever did was when I helped turn I wish Eric was here to say that, municipality when I turned one of those places into a blue place, just because I wanted to start recycling and they couldn't tell me no. I loved it. I loved every piece of it. But I'm curious to know. Obviously, this bill isn't going to go anywhere. But I'm not really interested in, like, oh, okay, the bill didn't go anywhere. We're going to go soak. What's next? Joe Manchin, do you take this as a true red sign that Republicans have no interest in helping Democrats win anything, and therefore you guys are okay with getting rid of the filibuster? Or, and hear me out, do we try and win more seats after accomplishing nothing for the first 2 years because of the blockage? Do we hope that voters understand that nothing is changing because of all this this corruption and all this blocking? Are we prepared for this? Are we prepared for that? That's the real tough questions, and that's something we're gonna have to see play out. But I can tell you this right now: we need to apply more pressure to Joe Manchin and hopefully help him see the light at the end of the tunnel. That there's no such thing as a good Republican in the Senate. I don't know. Maybe the 7 that voted against Trump, but the rest of them are all trash. And even the 7. No, I like Ben Sasse of Nebraska. I fucks with him. He's a real dude. But, hey, that's my thoughts on this. I'm interested to know your thoughts on what we talked about. Do you agree that the racist turtle known as Mitch McConnell is probably the closest thing to Satan? And if you're in agreement with that, like, share, subscribe. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok. I was going to say Twig Spot, but it's TikTok, Facebook, IG, all those major things. The link tree is in the comment section. So link up with us. Eric's going to be joining us next week to talk his fire, his smoke, his brimstone. He'll bring the fire next week. But for what it's worth, I appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves. Put on your mask. Be good to one another, and get your shot so we can get back to the old miserable normal versus this new miserable. And shout out to the 4 people watching with me right now. You love to see it. You love to see it.
But it's so hard to find through the daily grind. Been working overtime, and I'm sleep deprived. Shorty on my line, and we fuss and fight. Seems like every night. Don't care who's wrong or right. I hope the end is sight. Slow it down and we can catch the vibes.